Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story is from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and the username be on the screen. As I can't pronounce it, I do apologize. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole for lashing out at my ex and saying he's not my baby's father? I, female 34, had been with my husband for over 12 years. We had our child when I was 31, and my husband 33. Sadly, recently, 1.5 years ago when my baby was around 2, my husband, the love of my life, died in a tragic accident. A careless driver hit his on a foggy, slippery road. He died instantly in a crash. His death left me in shambles. Only thing that kept me at least sane was our daughter. I couldn't believe that I lost him. He was my rock, my light, and I loved him dearly. In a way, I still cannot believe that he's gone. That's where my ex comes in. In about a year after my husband's accident, he reached out to talk to me, to vent maybe. We separated a long time ago, a couple of years before I've met my husband. We didn't exactly stay friends, but we're on good terms and spoke occasionally. Hi, how are you kind of talk. So he reached out and offered to help as a friend. It was unexpected, but I accepted because I really needed a friend, and frankly, I don't have a lot of close friends besides him. He occasionally came over to our place, brought some gifts to my daughter, and we talked over tea or a beer. It wasn't intimate. He had several casual relationships over the years, and I clearly told him that I'm not ready for any relationships after my husband. Still not ready, I guess. So he came over once or twice a month. He was very sweet with my daughter, so I didn't see anything wrong with them bonding. But then my baby started calling my ex Papa. It annoyed me very much, but I didn't say anything, because she's a toddler. How is she supposed to know any better? I tried gently explaining to her that my ex isn't Papa, but I doubt she understood. So I just started sending her to my or my husband's mum when my ex came over. In truth, I know our baby won't remember her father. Photos is all she'll have of him, and I don't want another man to take his place in her eyes. So everything was normal again. I noticed that my ex was visibly upset when I told him that my daughter isn't home, but I didn't think much of it. And last time is where I snapped. That's where I might be the arsehole, because I ended up screaming at my ex and probably should have handled it better. So when he was at our house and we played some video games and had a couple of beers, my mother brought my daughter home early. She was very grumpy and wanted to go home. He stood up and told my daughter, "Here's my baby, I missed you," and reached to hug her. That's where I snapped at him. I told him angrily that he's in fact not her father, and that she is my and my husband's baby and will never be his baby no matter how much he wants. And if he wants to have a child, he still has plenty of chances with his girlfriend. He told me I was a real arsehole for saying such cruel things and left. My mother told me that I was kind of an arsehole too, and I acted like a child. So, am I? Now, as always, Reddit Brain is talking to me here and saying like, it feels like it's some sort of plan to try and get back with you in some way. And has he been encouraging this Papa talk? There may be a chance this is going to go totally the other way, and he was literally just trying to be helpful. But I can't help but be concerned that suddenly this ex comes out of nowhere when OP unfortunately lost their husband, saying stuff to your kid like, "Here's your baby," which I know OP called out. But so there were some relevant comments from people when OP responding. First one says, "No one's an arsehole here. I think you took some unresolved trauma out on him, and also that him calling your kid his baby was pretty clueless since he presumably will not be her father. He's more of an uncle, if we want to use family terms at all. I think you should apologize even though he was also wrong, assuming you want to be friends and have him in your kid's life. Hopefully you will understand that it is a sore subject for you right now, and parts of it will obviously be a sore subject forever." OP says, "Thank you. I think you are right. I still take everything concerning my husband to heart, and my ex's words hit very close to home. I don't think I was wrong in what I said to him, but I was wrong in the way I said it. After thinking about it for some time, I think I do want him in my and my daughter's life. He's a very good friend and very supportive, especially in my time of need. So I shouldn't have lashed out at him. I think I'll try calling him to apologize and communicate my issues clearly. Maybe he didn't even mean anything by his words and just loves my baby and expressed it a bit clumsily. But I admit, his words really triggered me in the moment. Another commenter says, no one's an asshole here. You are still heavily grieving the loss of your husband. You should, in my opinion, apologize to him and explain your thoughts. He can accept the apology or not. If you are not currently in therapy, you should really consider it. I have a friend whose son's dad passed away when he was 3. Same thing, only pictures and basically no memories. Hope he responds saying, thank you for your advice. I believe you are right. I should apologize and explain my feelings to him clearly. I didn't express my concerns earlier and that exploded unnecessarily. I should set some clear boundaries with him, explain that I'm still hurting and don't want him to call my daughter his baby in any way. If he's okay with it, that'll be great. If not, then I won't have a choice then to stop speaking to him for my own sake. I am currently in therapy. It is helpful, but it's a long process. And sincerely sorry for your friend and her son. Another commenter says to OP, since you have a baby, you will need to enact clear boundaries with him. It's possible that given your two's romantic history, he doesn't realizing he's crossing lines, but once you let these boundaries be known, it's up to him to follow them and you to enforce them. Don't let him bully you. You're the mum and dad to your baby. He says, you're right. My first priority is my baby's well-being. And although some of my relatives say the child needs a father figure, I think that's a load of BS. If I meet a nice man, at least as great as my husband, then maybe. But it should be on my terms and not forced on both me and my baby. Commenter says, if he only came back into your life because of the baby, I think there is something going on here. There are tons of bad people out there who insinuate themselves into single mums' lives to get access to the kids. Protect your daughter. You don't need your ex. You dumped him for a reason already. Opie says, I'm not really sure if he has some ulterior motive about my baby. Maybe he's too projecting some unresolved issues. Maybe not. He's generally a good person and a good friend, but you are right. He was a terrible boyfriend. We were young and our relationship was clearly toxic, but we've later talked and decided that we're much better friends than lovers. But it is clear to me now after posting and thinking about the matter that firstly, I should apologize for yelling. Secondly, set some clear boundaries about him and my baby. If he won't accept that, that's his right, but we won't speak any more then. A commenter says, not the arsehole, and this seems to be some ploy on his part to get back with you and has extended to creating a relationship with your daughter. Opie says, I don't think he wants to get back with me, though I'm not completely sure. We did break up for a reason. We were young and stupid and our relationship was completely toxic. He's a good friend though. Sometime after the breakup, which was surprisingly calm, we talked and decided to stay in touch. We weren't close friends, but we were friendly. He was very supportive after my husband's death and helped me a lot. I won't deny there's a bit of nostalgia about the times we were together, but it's more of a running joke now. We can say, do you remember when we were together, so and so happened, and we laugh. I in fact do not want him as a partner. He's a terrible boyfriend and judging by his demeanor with his numerous girlfriends, that didn't change. He initially didn't express any interest in having children, but maybe he's projecting some of his own issues onto my daughter. The commenter says, the whole situation is bizarre to me. I don't understand why you'd allow your ex this much access to your kid. I understand needing the support, but the situation is suspicious as fuck to me. In general, not the arsehole. Hope you respond saying thank you for your input. You are right. I believe I was wrong for introducing them at all. I was a wreck and needed support, yes, but my priority should be my child. First year after my husband died, a lot of people came over to offer condolences and some help. My and my husband's family. My daughter was always by my side. She once called my husband's brother Papa, but they look so much alike that it is understandable. And I kind of miss the fact that my ex's visits and gifts can be a problem. I was too late to understand that I need to set clear boundaries and it is inappropriate for them to bond if I don't want any relationship besides friendship with my ex. And OP adds a comment on the term Papa and says, thank you for your input. I didn't mention in my post, but we are European and the term Papa is actually more common here. Maybe it wasn't even his intention and he did it subconsciously. I was in the wrong to scream and yell, but we definitely need to set some clear boundaries if this friendship is gonna last. So an OP came in with her update and says, update. First, I wanted to say thank you for everyone who offered condolences, advice, and criticisms. I appreciate it very much. I think a little context and explanation is due. My husband and I had a really tight friend group. We usually hung out at our place because we have sort of a playroom with PS5, good PC, VR, board games, and a D&D table. We're big fans of gaming in many ways. Sadly, our friends moved to different countries over the years one by one, and after my husband died, I was left with only one friend from the group nearby. But she's a young mother too, and we can't hang out like before. We still speak, but it's not been the same. So I wanted some familiarity when my ex appeared. I was vulnerable and allowed things to escalate too much. I was desperately wanting to have a friend who shares similar interests with me and my husband. I was blind to some red flags and my own wrong choices. Also, I never left my ex alone with my daughter for more than a couple of minutes. I was wrong to introduce them in the first place. Now, to the update itself. Yesterday evening, my ex came by unannounced and uninvited. I was a little worried, but thankfully my husband's brother and his wife was at our house with their kids on a playdate. So I asked them to watch over the kids for some time and went to talk with my ex outside. He was drunk. A lot. He started talking and he said a lot. In a nutshell, he said that he will always care about me, that he suppressed some feelings for all his 15 years and just realized that he was a fool to let me go. Admit, I do care about him too, but not even remotely in a way I care about my husband. So I was a fool to hope we can be friends and have a civil relationship without any implications. Our talk started getting heated and we argued. A lot of accusations were thrown. My brother-in-law came out of the house and brought our big, overprotective dog with him. So I quickly apologized to my ex for leading him on and told him to move on and asked him to leave and never return. I was a bit worried that things can get violent, but he left without any protest. He later posted a long and vague post about being hurt and that love is shit and he is better off alone, and tagged me and several of his other exes. Not sure how his girlfriend may react to that, but it doesn't really matter anymore. I blocked him everywhere and hope he won't appear in our lives anymore. Also, I'll update my security system as soon as possible, just in case. Oh, so creepy behavior, man. Clearly trying to take advantage of someone who is in a vulnerable position. Already having a girlfriend himself at the same time. And then that weird ass message on social media about how he's hurt and he's better off being alone and tagging like all his exes in it. He's got a girlfriend. That dude has properly given me the ick. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Least Counter 6573. It does come with an update as well. It's titled, "Am I the arsehole here for telling my wife I would rather her sister live in our house than her? I, 35 male, and my wife, 35 female, have been married for 6 years. Some background: 7 months ago, my wife gave birth to our daughter. I call her Sadie. Ever since my wife gave birth, she's been getting increasingly rude and refuses to do any work around the house and says she's still healing from giving birth, even though she always goes out with her friends. 3 months ago, my wife's stepsister, Hannah, 25 female, called my wife and asked her if she could temporarily move in with us. She lived in a crappy apartment building and tenants recently had to leave due to unsafe conditions. Hannah didn't have enough to get another place right away, hence her asking. My wife seemed very eager to let Hannah move in, despite always claiming they never get along. They came to the agreement that she would help with Sadie in exchange for staying with us rent-free, so she could save up for a deposit on a proper apartment. Everything was fine at first. Hannah has ADHD and took a week to adjust to living with us. During that week, she did all the chores my wife has been neglecting without us asking her to. I tried to tell her she didn't have to do all of them, but my wife waved me off and said Hannah's ADHD makes her want to do it. Hannah backed her up. After she cleaned something, my wife would thank Hannah a lot. I thanked her as well, but my wife did it constantly, which seemed strange to me. My wife dismissed my questions and said it was normal to do with people with ADHD. Since then, my wife has pushed all childcare and any household chores I don't do onto Hannah. She has also been increasingly rude to Hannah and yelling at her if she makes mistakes on the first try of doing something. I tried to intervene when I was home, but my wife would accuse me of wanting to let Hannah lay around the house being lazy because she was, which looks to be the R slur word. She and I got into a huge fight about her using that word to describe Hannah and didn't speak for a few days. My breaking point came when I found out my wife had been making Hannah pay her rent and buy baby supplies. I pay all the bills and the money Hannah had been giving my wife was not going towards the house. My wife was using it to go out with her friends. My wife also made Hannah pay for food. I usually give my wife the money for food and she brought snacks for herself with Hannah's contribution. I had another fight with my wife where she said Hannah was lazy and if she didn't like her rules then Hannah could sleep on the street and get out of her house. That's when I told my wife it's my house and she doesn't pay any bills and at this point doesn't do anything but be as lazy as she accuses Hannah of being. I would rather live with Hannah. My wife got quiet and has been refusing to talk to me or Hannah for the past few days, and I'm starting to think I crossed a line. Am I the arsehole here? Edit to add, I have no romantic or sexual feelings for Hannah. Even if I did, Hannah is a lesbian, and even if she weren't, I would not take advantage of her by making a move on her while she's dependent on me for housing. Please stop with the comments suggesting I marry Hannah. Edit 2, she was cleared for PPD a few months ago, but due to the comments I'll be discussing having her screened again. Lex says not the arsehole, your wife is stealing from you and Hannah. It shows a dishonest character and people don't tend to be dishonest in only one aspect of their life. I feel like if you start poking around, you're going to find out a lot of surprises about your wife. Mighty Sapphire says, do you understand what a huge red flag it is that your wife lied to you and Hannah when she took Hannah's money and kept it for herself? Like huge. No wonder they never got along. That's because your wife is a twat. Apparently she is totally comfortable lying to your face and Hannah's, and she has no problem pretending not to be married. You should grant her that wish. Chez says, your wife is neither a stay-at-home wife nor a stay-at-home mum. She isn't even staying at home as she's always off out with her friends. It's absolutely brilliant that Hannah is so happy to look after Sadie and do the housework, and you need to tell your wife how pleased you are with this new arrangement, as you now have a live-in nanny / housekeeper, and your wife, who clearly wasn't content with her stay-at-home lifestyle, can now go out and get a full-time job to pay Hannah for her work and have extra money for herself. I'm sure she'll be absolutely thrilled with the suggestion. Just be sure to thank her for making it all possible by sitting on her backside while Hannah took over all of her responsibilities, free her time up so she can contribute financially to the household. Extreme says your wife is an abusive creep. She's also projecting her own shortcomings and insecurities onto Hannah. Also, are you sure Hannah has ADHD and not OCD? Most of us with ADHD have a hard time being organized and cleaning. Like, I can clean as in over the top, germaphobe, clean the entire house, but I'm horribly disorganized, distracted, and will let things get cluttered. But at least the house is deep cleaned. I don't know, perhaps with others with ADHD can chime in. Maybe they are driven to clean because of it. Regardless, your wife is using Hannah. She is cruel, and I don't think this is solely postpartum depression. It feels like something else is going on. Hope you can get it all sorted. So around 2 months later, OP comes in with her update and says, apologies for waiting so long to update. I was attempting to resolve the issue with my wife and Hannah. The talk I had with my wife was not productive. I mentioned having her checked again for PPD and she refused. She also refused to see a marriage counsellor with me. I pressed the issue of her being checked for PPD and told her if she didn't, then I'd be moving forward assuming her attitude was completely her own doing and there was no underlying cause. And if I did that, our marriage wouldn't survive. Maybe it was the wrong way to go about it, but I saw no other way to convince her, and she still refused. I honestly do not believe she has PPD, and this is just her based on her actions following the talk. After our conversation, she proceeded to purposely cause messes and yelled at Hannah more often. I didn't sit back this time, however, and I defended Hannah. After a week of this, I told my wife to move out. She'd become an unrecognizable terror. She went to stay with a friend and has been refusing to see Sadie to punish me. She's also been messaging me telling me when Sadie was old enough, she would ensure our daughter knew about the way I treated her. Hannah feels as if she shouldn't be welcome without her sister, but I assured her that wasn't the case. Also, to those who said my wife was cheating on me, you were unfortunately correct. A few days ago, I told my wife I wanted a divorce, and she completely blew up on me before informing me that she would be going for full custody because she'd been cheating on me for the entire time we've been together, and she's positive Sadie isn't mine. I cannot accurately describe what I'm feeling or what's going to happen in the future, but I'm terrified. She's going to take my daughter away from me. I don't care if she isn't biologically mine. Sadie is my daughter and I love her. I'm looking for a lawyer and will hopefully get some advice on how to keep my daughter. I'm on her birth certificate, so I'm hoping that means legally she's mine regardless of paternity. I'm sorry if this was a bit all over the place. I'm still dealing with the fallout of everything, but thought I would update you all. To end this on a better note, if that matters to you all, Hannah has agreed to continue living here to help look after Sadie regardless of her future ability to rent an apartment. Currently, we're looking into some kind of employment agreement where she'll basically be a living nanny for Sadie. This was Hannah's idea when I brought up compensating her for the extra work she's done so far. I don't think I'll update again, so this is it as far as I'm aware. And as you can imagine, the comments after this one were pretty much just saying, lawyer up. And if you live in an at-fault state, the wife's cheating will go against her. And not that it's going to change the background. I would have liked to have heard a bit more about their history because it just seems like that was just such a switch in behavior. And obviously there was people talking about the PPD with that sort of stuff. Or has she always been like this and is only just let it out since baby came around? It's so incredibly sad, that is. And hopefully, I know this is going to sound awful to say in the same time, I hope she's just saying that about Sadie just to piss OP off, because the alternative is just devastating for OP at the same time, isn't it? Incredibly sad. Anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.